My university entrance exam score was 666, enough to get into a top-tier university. But when I submitted my preferences, they were changed to a private vocational college. The one who changed them was none other than my best friend. I confronted her, threatening to call the police. She knelt, weeping and begging for my forgiveness. As I softened and reached out to help her up, she unexpectedly shoved me from a 20-meter-high water tower. The police later concluded it was a suicide due to depression. It all started with a single social media post. The next time I opened my eyes, I was back on the day the exam results were released. On the day of the university entrance exam results, I scored 666 points. I posted a status, "The path to Han University starts here," along with a screenshot of my score. That night, I slept, dreaming of a beautiful future, unaware that it was the beginning of a tragedy. 10 days later, after the deadline for university applications, I avoided the surrounding commotion and rushed home to check my preferences on the computer. I saw that all the universities I had chosen, prestigious ones, had been changed to private vocational colleges. At that moment, I utterly collapsed. The very next day, my best friend, whom I had known for over a decade, pushed me off the 20-meter-high water tower. Even after death, the soul lingers. This I experienced myself. After dying, I saw my body. It was crushed, mangled like a bloody red mass of mud. Blood flowed, staining the ground crimson. My bones and flesh were pressed into a distorted heap, my face unrecognizable. Hours later, my best friend of over a decade, Lucy, faced the police's questions. She cried, claiming I was her best friend, and even blamed me for having suicidal tendencies, saying it was all my fault for not paying enough attention to her. I watched it all from above. Even as a mere spirit, I felt the fury raging within me. The world before my eyes gradually blurred, my spirit slowly fading and dissolving. I was unwilling. The world before me darkened. Once again, I opened my eyes. I was sitting in front of my computer screen, waiting for the countdown to the exam results announcement. I looked at the clock on my phone, June 25, 2024. I had been given a second chance at life. If heaven truly granted me another opportunity, this time, I wouldn't let the tragedy repeat. When the results were announced, I entered my password. My total score was still 666, but this time I didn't post anything. I knew that even if I didn't post, someone would still know my score, Lucy, for instance. However, I didn't change my password. I had my own plan. In my previous life, my preferences were changed because of her. She was the only one beside me when I used the school computer to register my account. In that life, when I discovered my preferences had been altered, I called her out to vent, already suspecting she was the culprit. The place she chose to meet was our abandoned water tower, our secret spot since childhood. At the water tower, I cursed at her a few times. She stubbornly denied it. When I threatened to call the police, mentioning that the IP address of the person who made the changes could be traced, her face paled, and tears streamed down. She knelt on the ground, clinging to my legs, constantly begging for my forgiveness. She claimed we had been best friends for over 10 years, and she didn't want me to go far away from her, which was why she changed my preferences to a college in the same city as hers. After she poured out a torrent of sentimental words, I looked at her sincere face and finally softened. 10 years of friendship, for someone who was practically an orphan like me, was the only family I had. As I softened and bent down to help her up, she suddenly, when I wasn't paying attention, pushed me hard in the back, sending me tumbling from the 20-meter-high water tower window. The next morning, my mother, who frequented card games and drinks, returned home. Her hair was greasy, and she reeked of alcohol and cigarettes. She must have gambled all night. My name is Mia, a name my father gave me, meaning all things beautiful and good. But life doesn't always go as planned. My father died in a work accident over 10 years ago. My mother received a large compensation payout, then started associating with disreputable men, frequenting card tables and drinking parties. From childhood, she never cared for me, returning home only once every month or two to leave a meager sum for living expenses before leaving again. I knew from a young age that the only person I could rely on was myself. I had to rely on my studies to make my way in the world. My mother suddenly spoke. "Your aunt and uncle invited us to dinner tonight. Dress nicely, don't disgrace our family." I thought to myself, What family dignity do we have left to maintain? My uncle's family had always avoided us. When my father was alive, they looked down on us for being poor. Now they shunned us even more. In my previous life, at this very time, my aunt and uncle also invited my mother and me to dinner. Back then, I was suspicious. Why would they suddenly invite us? Did they want to mend our relationship? Little did I know, they had their own hidden agenda, and during that very meal, they made an unbelievably unreasonable request. That evening, my mother and I arrived at a lavish, high-end restaurant for the dinner. Though I usually worked part-time washing dishes in a diner, I had never been to a place this luxurious. As soon as we entered the private room, my uncle, with a spring-like smile, greeted me warmly. "Oh, Mia, it's been years. You've grown into such a beautiful young lady." He feigned admiration, but before I could respond, my mother cut in. "Well, she inherited my good looks, of course. Just wait a bit longer, and I'll find her a rich man to marry. Then we'll get a hefty dowry. It'll be worth all the trouble of raising her." I replied coldly, "I'm not planning to get married. I still have to go to university. If you want to get married, then you marry. I won't be accepting any dowry." "How dare you talk to your mother like that, you ungrateful girl?" my mother shrieked. "I don't have money to put you through school anymore. I'll save my money for gambling and drinking." "I'm not expecting money from you anyway. I can work part-time and support myself," I retorted. Seeing my mother about to lose control and hit me, my uncle quickly played the peacemaker. He smiled and said, "Mia, your tuition and living expenses for the first year, I'll take care of them. Your sister doesn't need to worry." Then he turned to me, his tone cordial but with a hidden agenda. "It's just that I have a small request for you. Your cousin, Ethan, is taking the university entrance exam next year. His scores are only good enough for a second-tier university, and he's under a lot of pressure right now. Could you consider applying to a second-tier university? Don't put too much pressure on him, all right? I know you're a sensible girl." My uncle looked at me with shrewd eyes, hoping I'd agree. I responded coolly, "I only scored just over 300 points. I can only go to a vocational college. I don't have enough points for a second-tier university." "Mia, you should be honest. I heard from your classmates that you scored 666 points. Why hide it from me? Don't you consider me family?" Sure enough, even though I hadn't posted anything on social media, someone knew my score. I glanced at my cousin, Ethan. Lucy really did have an illicit relationship with him. In my previous life, I had fleetingly seen them together on the street, but back then, I thought I'd mistaken them for someone else. Plus, I was too busy with exams to pay attention. Now, reflecting, the matter of my preferences being changed couldn't be unrelated to my aunt and uncle's family. Ethan looked at me, his voice dripping with condescension. "Mia, even though you're my cousin, I have to say, women ultimately just get married. Studying too much is pointless. Luckily, my dad is kind enough to offer to sponsor your education for a year. If it were me, you wouldn't even qualify for vocational college. You'd have been thrown into a factory as a labor years ago. Why aren't you kneeling to thank my dad?" From a young age, I was more mature than my peers, so facing Ethan's childish and ill-mannered words, I couldn't even be bothered to reply. Sensing the tension, my uncle spoke up. "Mia, how about this? I'm a kind person. As long as you apply to a second-tier university, our family will sponsor your mother with an additional 20,000 yuan as business capital. What do you say?" One played the villain, the other pretended to be kind, a perfectly choreographed act like a play on stage. My mother, hearing about the money, was so delighted she practically jumped out of her seat, eagerly agreeing and forcing me to apply to a second-tier university. She even asked if the money could be received up front. My uncle, of course, refused to pay in advance. My mother, as if she'd never seen money before, completely disregarded my future for the sake of it. But I was used to it. Family ties meant little to me, whether I had them or not. Seeing that I ignored my uncle's words, Ethan barked again like a dog. "Hey, my dad is talking to you, you fatherless bastard. Don't you know any manners?" My cousin truly was a genius at hitting my raw nerves. Without hesitation, I picked up a glass of water and threw it straight at his face. Luckily, I didn't hit his head. Otherwise, it might have cracked his skull. But the boiling water in the glass splashed all over him, making him jump around like a monkey on Mount Amay, continuously cursing me and my mother. Ethan's face was flushed red. Whether from anger or the scalding water, it was unclear. My mother, who usually paid no attention to me, showed no reaction, only busy contemplating her gambling and drinks. My uncle sprang to his feet, scolding me severely. "You brat, how dare you? Don't you have any manners? How could you hit your younger cousin?" I yelled back furiously. "He's the one without manners, not me. He just insulted me. Why didn't you say anything? If a child isn't taught, it's the father's fault. You, as a father, are just as rotten." Hearing this, my uncle pulled out his belt and roared, "Today, I'll teach you a lesson in your father's stead." I instantly went berserk, acting like a crime boss. I picked up my phone, slammed the table over with a loud crash, then smashed a glass bottle. Holding a sharp shard of glass, I pointed it directly at them and yelled, "Come at me. If you don't dare lay a hand on me today, I'll take on your family name." Perhaps intimidated by my ferocity, my uncle slowly put his belt back, while my cousin cowered in a corner, not daring to utter a sound. I grabbed my purse and quickly left the restaurant, but instead of going home, I hid across from the hotel. A while later, the three of them left in different directions. I stealthily followed my cousin to see if I could find any clues or weaknesses. After a short walk, he went to the subway station and met Lucy. The two walked arm in arm, strolling through the streets. I couldn't deny it. From behind, that wretched pair actually looked quite compatible. If she hadn't betrayed me in my previous life, I might have genuinely wished them well. They walked for quite some time, then entered a Uniqlo store, selecting a few outfits. Both of them slipped into a fitting room. I pretended to pick a random item and entered the fitting room next door, pressing my ear against the wooden partition to listen to their movements. I only heard my cousin's voice. "That Mia girl is so ferocious. I never realized it before, but if I ever get the chance, I'll definitely sneak some nude photos of her and leak them." My kind uncle offered to sponsor her, making such a small request to apply to a second-tier university, and she dared to flip the table. She truly has no sense of propriety. Lucy chimed in, "If she doesn't apply to a second-tier university herself, then don't blame us. She probably doesn't know I have her password. 10 minutes before the deadline, I'll change everything to a private college. A poor girl like her won't have the money for tuition even if she wants to study. Then, I'll conveniently introduce her to a high-paying job as a massage parlor technician asterisk." "You're really good at thinking up evil schemes, cousin, haha, what a true best friend," Ethan flattered. Lucy continued, "Who told her to be smarter than me? Best friends should go through thick and thin together. How can she go to a prestigious 985 university while I have to go to a vocational college? Going to a 985 university would only make your family lose face, wouldn't it? And you'd be under a lot of pressure. I'm doing this for your own good, you know." My cousin cooed, Right, Lucy is the best. Come here, let me feel if you've grown any bigger." Immediately after, the lewd moans of the adulterous pair echoed from the adjacent room. I put on my mask, stood on a chair just high enough to peer over the partition. They were passionately kissing, eyes closed, completely unaware of my presence nearby. I pulled out my phone and recorded their entire battle scene. Perhaps they were too engrossed to notice my hidden camera. After finishing the recording, I spotted a clothes rack pole nearby and got an idea. I used the pole to forcefully pull open their fitting room curtain. Instantly, the store erupted with piercing screams, curses, and gasps from the crowd. Many people pulled out their phones to record this beautiful spectacle of life. In the ensuing chaos, I quickly slipped away from the scene, pushing through the crowd while looking back to see Lucy and my cousin frantically putting their clothes back on, covering their faces, too ashamed to look up. I thought to myself, "This time, you two are famous. Consider my anger appeased." When I got home, it was surprising to find my mother waiting for me. She had even cooked a bowl of noodles with an egg. "Mia, you're hungry, right? Come eat quickly." I sat at the table, staring at the bowl of noodles without touching my chopsticks. After a moment, I asked coldly, "What do you want to say, Mom? Just say it." My mother smiled. "I showed your picture to my card-playing friend. She said her son really likes you. He wants to meet you in a few days. If it goes well, you can get married next month. Their family's conditions aren't bad. The dowry will surely be large. You'll live a blessed life marrying into that family." I scoffed. "Your card-playing, drinking friends? What kind of people are they? They probably just want to sell me off for some dowry. I'm not going." "Didn't you say I inherited your beauty, Mom? You marry her son instead. Then everyone can call each other differently. You can call her Mom, and her son can call you little sister. You'd be sisters and mother-in-law. Isn't that a beautiful arrangement? My mother was so enraged she clenched her fist, ready to administer a beating, but then she relaxed, saying softly, "If you don't want to go, that's fine. But it's all the same, no matter which school you attend. In the end, you'll still have to get married and have children. Listen to your aunt and uncle and apply to a second-tier university. They'll help, and it could ease our family's financial burden. Don't you think so?" I just gave a faint smile, so it was still the same old trick. Sweet talk first, then stab in the back. And easing financial burden? That was laughable. Years ago, the compensation my father received after his accident was substantial. Even if we did nothing, that money would have been enough for my mother and me to live comfortably for many years. But what happened? Just a month after my father died, my mother started seeing a good-for-nothing alcoholic gambler, and that compensation was quickly squandered. If not for that, I wouldn't have had to work part-time while studying to support myself. I was tired, too sleepy to argue with her, so I just vaguely replied, "Let me think about it," and returned to my room. In my previous life, my mother was also partly involved in the alteration of my university preferences. That afternoon, to ensure my applications were secure, I rushed home after my part-time shift and sat in front of the computer. Little did I know, as soon as I left the restaurant, my mother brought along her card-playing friend's son, Leo, who clung to me. This man truly stood out in a crowd, but not in a pleasant way. He was the kind even dogs would avoid. He sported a trendy 90s slicked-back hairstyle, but his hair was so sparse that his scalp was clearly visible. His body was square, like a block, definitely the standard of a cubist man. As soon as he arrived, he took my hand, his filthy, nail-bitten fingers grabbing mine. His voice was slimy. "Mia, the first time I saw your picture, I liked you already. What hotel do you think we should have our wedding at?" I recoiled in disgust, wanting only to scrub my hand clean with dish soap. "Wedding? Are you insane? Who are you?" I glared at him with pure loathing. He remained unfazed. "Your mother promised you to me already." My mother also chimed in. "I've decided. Their family isn't bad. You'll live a blessed life marrying into that family. Give them 2 chubby grandsons and they won't treat you badly." With that, my mother left, telling us to get to know each other. I led this cubist man to a crowded shopping mall, weaving through the crowd several times until I shook him off. Then, I rushed home. Today, our homeroom teacher organized for the class to come to school to receive our graduation certificates. I wondered if Lucy would dare to show up. After all, the incident in the fitting room hadn't happened long ago. I arrived early. Some classmates were already there. I greeted them and sat in my spot, waiting for the teacher. Soon enough, Lucy arrived. She looked as if nothing had happened. Her audacity truly was remarkable. But she seemed to have changed a bit. For example, her single eyelids were now double, and her nose bridge was higher. Lucy's family was of average means. Where did she get the money for plastic surgery? Before I could ponder it further, she sat down next to me. "Mia, what was your score? Which university are you planning to apply to?" She obviously knew but feigned ignorance. I couldn't be bothered to pay attention. In truth, while we were called best friends, for over 10 years from high school onwards, we were only friends in name. In high school, she stopped focusing on her studies, often skipped classes to hang out with a bad crowd, drinking and messing around. She probably met my cousin around that time. At first, I tried to persuade her to study hard, but she flatly told me I should learn to enjoy the present moment like her. From then on, we maintained our friendship in name, but I secretly kept my distance. I lowered my head, fiddling with my phone, and replied casually, 666 points. Han University. What's so great about Han University? You have to study for 4 years. It's not as good as going to vocational college with me. Vocational college is only 3 years. You save an extra year to work and earn money. Isn't that better? Then you graduate a year early, and my friends and I can start our own business. Those who study for 4 years will end up working for us. I scoffed. "You mean those friends who can't even pool money for a bubble tea?" My remark hit a nerve, making Lucy's face flush red. She fell silent for a few seconds, then said mockingly, "Han University, huh? Well, good luck. Don't end up accidentally submitting your preferences for a private vocational college." With that, she started loudly telling the whole class about my application to Han University. She clearly wanted me to be a laughingstock when my preferences were inevitably changed. One more week until the university application deadline. I had to prepare meticulously. Leaving the school gate, I hailed a ride-sharing car directly to the lottery store closest to my home. There, I spent 4 yuan on 2 double color ball tickets. All I had to do was wait until tomorrow for the results. From a young age, I'd always been very sensitive to numbers. Most number sequences or combinations, as long as they weren't too complex, I could remember after just one glance. In my previous life, after the university entrance exam, I coincidentally scrolled past a short video and saw the results of this very double color ball lottery. I remembered it instantly, even after just one quick look. This time, I only bought 2 tickets to avoid attracting too much attention, letting others think it was just luck, not too hard to believe. After all, with just these 2 tickets, I could win over 10 million yuan, enough to execute my upcoming plan and secure my future life. On the day of university applications, our class monitor sent a message in the class group. Early next month, after everyone receives their admission notices, we'll all go on a trip together to fulfill our promise from 10th grade. When we first entered 10th grade, our whole class had promised that after graduation, each of us would bring our admission notices to take a photo as a souvenir. Lucy deliberately spread the word everywhere about my acceptance to Han University, clearly wanting to humiliate me at this gathering. I hired a reliable computer expert through a professional online intermediary, spending 30,000 yuan. This hacker, nicknamed Kai, was skilled at bypassing firewalls, tracking information, and retrieving data. Nothing was beyond his capabilities. The next morning, Kai reported back. My university application account had been logged into from 2 unknown devices at midnight. Based on the IP addresses, he identified them as Lucy's and Ethan's homes. However, they hadn't changed my preferences yet. It seemed they were only testing to see if I had changed my password, planning to make their move at the very last minute. Furthermore, Kai uncovered some black marks on Lucy's record, inadvertently providing me with an additional advantage. On the last day to fill out university preferences, my mother suddenly stopped bothering me like she had on previous days. Given her personality, she certainly hadn't given up on forcing me to change my preferences to a second-tier university, because for her, money was everything. But over the past few days, she hadn't been home and hadn't contacted me about this, which made me uneasy. Sure enough, at noon, as I was sleeping soundly, my mother secretly returned home and used a rope to tie me up. No matter how much I struggled, she didn't loosen her grip. "Mia, just be good for a bit. Mom needs money for cards. Your uncle promised me a lot of money, just bear with it for a while. After 5:00 p.m., Mom will come back and release you." Just then, her phone rang. "Honey, don't worry, I'll keep an eye on her, not leaving her side for a second. Can you transfer half the money up front?" The call ended, and a message notification confirmed the money had been transferred. I knew my chance had come. I understood my mother well. She wouldn't sit there watching me once she had money in her hand. "Mia, Mom's going to play cards for a bit. I'll be back at 5 to take you to the celebration dinner." A celebration dinner for my enrollment in a private vocational college or for her big score. Hearing her footsteps fade away, I waited a few dozen minutes, then slowly took out a small metal shard I had hidden in my shirt pocket. I carefully cut the ropes little by little. Once free, I retrieved my backup phone, hidden under my bed, to contact Kai. Kai sent a message. He had located Lucy's and Ethan's phones. Both were currently at the Tian Long Internet Cafe, along with the cafe's address. I disguised myself and went to the internet cafe, finding a secluded spot near them. I opened a computer and sent their seat numbers to Kai. It was 4:30 p.m., only 30 minutes before the system closed. From a distance, I saw Ethan logging into my account. Lucy stood beside him, egging him on to change all my preferences. Han University, Wuhan University, Huizhong University, Jiangnan University all were replaced with private vocational colleges. North Than Technical Institute, Lan Thak Technical Institute, New Horizon Institute. Ethan even tried to leave a few preferences for public vocational colleges, but Lucy disagreed. Neither of them realized that the internet cafe's high-definition surveillance cameras had recorded their entire actions. At 4:50 p.m., Kai disconnected Ethan's internet and remotely controlled the computer, setting up a few traps. They probably thought it was just a network error and paid no attention. When they tried to log in again to confirm everything was done, Kai had added a small character to the website address, leading them to a fake page he had designed himself. The interface of this page was identical to the official one, successfully deceiving them. Meanwhile, I quickly logged into my own account and swiftly corrected all my preferences. By 5:00 p.m., when the official system closed, the fake website also displayed a closing message, just like the real one. Those two truly believed they had successfully altered my preferences. After they left, I used my special ability to find the internet cafe manager and requested a copy of the surveillance video. The cafe's high-definition cameras clearly showed every word on their computer screen. After completing everything, I quickly returned home. Sure enough, just as I predicted, my mother was engrossed at the card table, having completely forgotten that I was still tied up at home. I organized the surveillance video clips and screen recordings, backing them up in multiple copies. In the class group, a new message appeared. Lucy, Mia, our class's top student and my best friend, scored 666 points, this time the highest in the class, and has applied to Han University. Let's congratulate her in advance. Class monitor. Congratulations, fireworks. I replied blandly. If you skipped fewer classes and didn't spend all your time strolling through Uniqlo, you might have scored similarly. My comment silenced the group chat, not because they didn't want to reply, but because some things weren't convenient to say in a public group. Perhaps my classmates had switched to private chats, further discussing Lucy's latest drama. It was a shame the old video leaked online last time wasn't shocking enough, but I now held an explosive clip in my hands. As soon as I put my phone down, WeChat buzzed repeatedly. I opened it to see over 10 voice messages from Lucy, each 60 seconds long. I couldn't be bothered to listen, only replying, "Not listening, going to bed. You have a beautiful figure, by the way," and promptly blocked her. Through the screen, I could almost picture her face, enraged to the point of madness. Finally, the moment I received my admission notice, I felt a relief like never before. In class, almost all the students had arrived. Lucy, accompanied by my cousin Ethan, was also present. Seeing me walk in, she smiled faintly and approached me. "Oh, here she is, the brilliant student from Han University. I thought you looked down on your classmates and wouldn't bother showing up." Then she added, "Did you bring your Han University admission notice?" I didn't answer, just quietly found a seat. Ethan continued to mock. "Why don't you take it out? Or maybe you don't have one? Don't tell me your preferences were changed to the New Horizon Vocational College to study to be a chef." With that, both of them burst into laughter. The class monitor, seeing everyone had gathered, stood up, said a few words, and then began setting up a live stream device to record our commemorative moment as we presented our admission notices. When it was my turn to go on stage, Lucy suddenly snatched the admission notice from my bag, held it high, and said, "Let me, Mia's best friend, introduce her admission notice." Then she opened the letter, held it up for everyone and the live stream audience to see. This live stream, due to its unique commemorative format, had attracted tens of thousands of viewers. This is the Han University admission notice. Look closely. Isn't this an admission notice for the New Horizon Technical College, culinary major? The chat room exploded with mocking comments. 666 points, but going to a private vocational college. Where's the Han University admission notice? She must just be joking, right? Below the stage, some classmates laughed loudly. Others looked confused, but the loudest laughter came from Ethan and Lucy. "Didn't you say you scored 666 points? Is this your Han University admission notice, or are you deliberately putting on a show for the class?" Lucy said, still laughing. I pretended to look distraught, bowing my head and rummaging through my bag as if searching for another notice. In reality, that admission letter was a copy of someone else's with the same name as mine. I had used my special ability to duplicate it so they would continue to mock me, knowing that the greater the contrast, the stronger the shock. After searching for a moment, I pulled out another admission notice. The live stream room fell silent for 2 seconds. The noisy classroom also gradually quieted. A comment appeared in the chat room. "Is this the real Han University admission notice? Oh my God, it looks exactly like the one I'm holding. Could it be fake? Falsifying documents is illegal." No, wait, the two admission notices have different application numbers. Considering the corresponding regions for the application numbers, the second one is her real admission notice, right? This script was indeed for dramatic effect, as the classmates, without a word, simultaneously applauded and congratulated me. Lucy stood frozen beside me, her face full of disbelief. She snatched my admission notice, examining every detail: the application number, the name, the official seal. Her face gradually paled, her hands trembling. "No, this is fake. It must be fake. Forging seals and falsifying admission notices is illegal. You'll go to jail." I calmly replied, "Yes, you're right. This admission notice is indeed fake." I uttered it indifferently. I don't know where Lucy got the courage to immediately believe me. She even pulled out her phone and called the police, accusing me of forging seals and falsifying an admission notice. In fact, I had planned to call the police later to report her and Ethan's act of changing my preferences. This way, it saved me the trouble of calling them myself. "Mia, this time you won't even get into vocational college. You're as stupid as a pig, publicly exposing your own weakness in front of everyone." With that, Lucy burst into laughter, as if she could already see me being arrested by the police and sentenced by the court. I smiled faintly, my voice laced with sarcasm. "Me, stupid? I scored twice as much as you. How could I be stupid enough to let others exploit my weakness? Ah, yes, strictly speaking, the admission notice from earlier asterisk was fake. Since it was a photocopy of an original, it can also be understood as fake, right?" I chuckled, then pulled out a stack of Han University admission notices from my bag. "Here, I have plenty more. If you like to tear things up, go ahead and tear them to your heart's content, but reprinting them is a bit expensive. Do you intend to compensate me?" Lucy snatched the stack of notices from my hand, tried to tear them, but couldn't. Enraged, she threw them to the ground and stomped on them, screaming, "How can it be real? I clearly changed your preferences. It must be fake, it's fake." Looking at her deranged state, I thought she didn't need a medical check. She already qualified for a mental hospital. After stomping for a while, Lucy suddenly looked up and lunged at me, pushing me hard to the ground, then pouncing on me to hit me. "Oh, you attacked first? Then I'm just defending myself." All her actions were recorded on video. How could a Lucy, weighing less than 45 kilograms, fight against me, who had been training through years of part-time work? In just a few moves, I easily pinned her to the ground. Seeing Lucy restrained, Ethan tried to rush to her aid, but fortunately, a few male students in the class quickly stopped him. I definitely have to treat them to bubble tea later to thank them. In the live stream, the audience began cheering loudly, but the live stream was cut shortly after. The police arrived very quickly, separating Lucy and me, then asked who had called them. Lucy yelled, "I did. She's forging seals, falsifying admission notices, and deliberately assaulting me." The police looked at the torn admission notices on the ground, picked them up, and turned to ask me, "Young lady, what's going on here?" I calmly explained, "Officers, these are my admission notices. These torn ones are just photocopies, and making photocopies isn't illegal, is it? I still have the original here, you can verify it. As for the fight, she attacked first, I was just defending myself, and the entire incident was recorded on video. You can review it." With that, I handed over my original admission notice. A few minutes later, the police confirmed the admission notice was real, but asked me to come to the station to provide a statement. Before leaving, I also filed a report. I want to report Lucy and Ethan for deliberately changing my university preferences. I have full evidence. With that, I plugged a USB into the classroom's multimedia projector and displayed the surveillance video and other evidence on the screen. The entire class gasped in astonishment. In the video, their entire operation process was clearly recorded. "It wasn't me who changed it. Ethan did it. I didn't touch anything. It has nothing to do with me. You can watch the video." Lucy pointed at Ethan's nose and shouted. Indeed, in the video, it was Ethan who was controlling the mouse to change the preferences, while Lucy stood beside him, gesturing and directing. But unfortunately, the video had no audio, so there was no direct evidence to prove it was Lucy's idea. Ethan couldn't take it anymore. Clearly, he had acted on her instructions under her direction, yet now he was being betrayed and all the blame was being shifted onto him. He lunged at Lucy, slapped her twice, then pinned her to the ground and punched her repeatedly. "You rotten woman, how dare you frame me? You clearly told me to change them." The police reacted quickly, pulling the two apart, but Lucy still took a few punches to the face and nose. The fake nose she had just done was even knocked crooked. Lucy struggled to her feet, using her newly done fake fingernails to scratch Ethan's face, turning him into a three-colored cat face. It was dog-eat-dog. I didn't mind watching this scene, but it was clear things had become more complicated. The police took a long time to separate them, then took all three of us to the station for statements. The result: Lucy stubbornly refused to admit that the preference changes were instigated by her. However, the video evidence of Ethan's crime was undeniable. He was charged with deliberately altering someone else's university preferences, detained, and later prosecuted and brought to trial. He would likely face 2 to 3 years in prison. As for Lucy, because her fight with me wasn't too serious, she only received an administrative penalty, 15 days of detention. 15 days later, as Lucy walked out of the detention center, I happened to see her from a distance. She looked much more haggard. Her complexion was sallow, her eyes vacant, devoid of any youthful beauty. She must have received a good education from the big sisters in detention. I followed her from a distance. She walked a long way to a bus stop when a white passenger van pulled up beside her. A group of burly men stepped out of the van and politely invited her inside. In the past, Lucy had spent a lot of money on cosmetic surgery, double eyelids, nose jobs, outer canthoplasty. Besides the money she got from Ethan, she also borrowed a sum from cosmetic surgery credit services. I only found out about this when Kai investigated her information. She defaulted on her loans, leading her creditors to search for her everywhere. Seeing this, I lent them a small hand by telling them her whereabouts. After all, helping others brings joy, doesn't it? I heard that because her family couldn't afford to pay back the loan and exorbitant interest, she was forced to work as a commercial technician to pay off her debts. As for the phone containing her emotional Uniqlo video, I accidentally left it at a used phone market. After that, the video went viral online, even appearing on several major platforms. I heard a famous VIP director even took notice of her, turning her into a small star in that particular field. Before the day I went to school to present my admission notice, I packed my belongings, moved my household registration out of my mother's house, and left. After everything was settled, I cut off all contact with my mother but still softened enough to leave her 100,000 yuan for living expenses, along with a message. From now on, we have no relationship. Then, I moved to the city where my university was located, bought an apartment, and settled there. I heard that my uncle, wanting to help Ethan reduce his sentence, went to my mother at a card game. The two got into an argument and then a fight, eventually being dragged to the police station. As for me, I had started a new life. On my first day of university, a handsome senior student responsible for welcoming new students greeted me with a smile. "Hello, Mia, I'm Kai."